Welcome to In a Heartbeat. I'm Liz Aiken. You know this is the great studio at the Grosse Pointe War Memorial. We filmed this show in Grosse Pointe Farms, Michigan. This is WMTV. Now, I am really pleased because I have a motley crew, or what would be AKA the usual suspects, with me today, plus a surprise guest. It will make total sense in about 2 seconds. So the show is really holiday unscripted. We're going to talk about a lot of things today, things that mean a lot to us over the holidays, things that we do during the holidays that sometimes can rev things up, take things down, and calm us down. And really just, you know what, focus on what is good, what we have over a lifetime been happy to do with the holidays, what brings great memories about the holidays, people, movies, whatever, whatever. Also, things we're thinking about for 2013 and beyond. So it's very cool, and I want to introduce it to you like you don't know them, I'm sure. My co-host, co-producers for this show, Joan, Patrick Morris.
Hello,
Hey.
Liz.
Welcome. David Balle.
Hi, Liz.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And then right off the bat, I wanted to bring in JC.
Liz Aiken.
Our guy.
Hey, Heartbeaters.
I know. When I send emails to all of you, I do everything as the Heartbeats, and I go, it sounds like a Motown group, and I go, why not? We are a Motown group. But I wanted to bring John in, too, because he's been with us forever, and he has his new show, so at some point in the show, we're going to take a little bit. You'll have 30 seconds, okay? And when you see this, okay? And wait. And when you see this, you know what this means.
You're the host.
We're the host.
Yeah. I'm here for the beer.
Well, he thinks we're having beer, and we're going to Travis, and I got some really horrible news for him, but
No, we're not going to.
you're over it. Okay, so we're going to really just start the show by, I want to start by saying again that it is so cool for me to have, a whole different, group and have expanded the show in so many ways. Not just as one guest, but many hosts, because it just brings many different trains of thought, many different minds, and then all these other people coming in as guests. So again, I thank all of you for really taking the time to, in your schedules, actually altering your daily work schedule to be here in the studio with your guests.
And we thank you for bringing us
Absolutely.
together.
We're just honored.
Thank you. And we have a lot of fun. That's the thing. A lot of times when we're doing this show, you can't believe the nonsense that goes on before we ever come up and talk. So, all right, so let's start off. When you are walking into the holiday season, what are you thinking about? Anybody?
Well, I would just say, I think the holiday season makes me think of growing up as a child and those wonderful childhood memories. And my mom used to bake holiday cookies, and she let my brother and I kind of frost them and kind of decorate them the way we wanted, and bring up a tree and planning for get-togethers and things like that, and the music and the television shows and the movies and kind of things like that.
Mm-hmm. And the smells in the house, like you said.
Right.
Yes.
The instant you walk in the
Absolutely.
house and you smell the cinnamon, you smell whatever it is that's going on, that is like,
Yes.
that's so neat.
Yeah.
Jen, what about you?
It's mainly like just trying to plan. Which I do try, and I'm always going to get a head start. At this point in my life, I don't rush out the day after Thanksgiving anymore. But I do like to try to plan it a little bit better every year. Do I succeed in that? No, because the procrastination comes in, and then you look around, and it's like 2 days before Christmas, and you're trying to figure out those last few gifts. And I suppose
do they
getting
deliver
the gift from my
overnight?
husband is probably the one that's the hardest, because it's like, what do I get him?
Yeah.
But and now that the kids are all older in my life, I call them my rental kids. Besides my one daughter, and it's just kind of easy now. You just go get those gift cards, and they are just good to go.
Right.
But
right.
the hassle and all that. But going with what David says, and I think about it. You've got to bake something. I've just got to bake something, and I'm not a baker, but I just got to bake something. I mean,
Seriously.
a cookie for someone.
I know, really. No. So
Really?
you go to farmers market, or now there are all these other shops in
Right.
in the
Yeah.
Grosse Pointe area. You get something throw a little more
Yeah, right.
cinnamon,
Put some
throw
more.
it in the oven
Right.
on low.
Right. Yeah, right. There
Throw
you
an
go.
apple in a pan with cinnamon and water.
Right.
That's
Get
it.
those cupcakes. Okay, put a little different sprinkle on it or something.
Yeah, right.
You know, so that's kind of like I'm with you
Throw
on
some,
that.
throw some of the flour
Right.
and this stuff on you.
All over you.
Sprinkles
Look what
in
I've
your
done.
hair.
Put
I
apron
work for
on.
you.
Oh yeah. Good old
That's
mom.
good. Yeah, right. Always. All right, JC.
Well, for me, it's holidays are about centering. You just got to go back to your core, and you know we're so busy all year. Your careers, your kids, your families, and then the holidays come, and then for me, it's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna dial it back a little bit, and you think about those things. You know, Dave, that's so correct. I mean, I think about when I was a kid, and all the holiday memories you have, and you know, people say they get stressed out over the holidays, that it's an issue for them, that they can't, they get so nervous, and then we should talk about that. But what can you do? But for me, it's like, you know what, I'm going to dial it back from, I know all the things that are on my schedule, especially in December, you know, because I work in the auto industry. A lot of them front load December so they can take some time off. So there's a lot of stress there trying to front load your schedule, you know, compress more work into those 2 weeks before, and then the shopping, and you know, I have what they call boomerang boys. You know, they went out and they came back, so. And they're back in the house. but
You can change the locks.
That's right. You can change the locks. No, but for our family, and we're real family centric too, and my wife's family. So a lot of that get together stuff. And then how do you make getting together new memories rather than, you know, we have those memories of our childhood, but you really want to create new memories. We've done it for our kids, but now as we're adults, we want to be able to enjoy that time and not be stressed and not say, holidays, or, you know, it's Halloween, why are they playing Christmas music? That drives me crazy. So that's it for me. And then a lot of people say it's a time for, you know, sharing. For me, it's a time for caring. Well, no, not, did I say caring?
Oh,
I meant
okay.
Karen. I like to hear music over the holidays.
Yes. I
So
love
for
that.
me,
I love it.
well, how do I center myself? It's either Karen Newman, who's a local star, or it's Karen Carpenter. If you haven't got a Carpenter's Christmas album, you're missing something. Now, when I was a kid, my dad had, what was that guy's name? Mitch Miller. Mitch
My
Miller.
God, the bouncing ball.
Yeah, with all the
Yeah,
bouncing ball. And he did all that holiday music,
Hear
and he cranked it up, and we had the hi-fi stereo, and that for him was cool. But you know, Karen Carpenter, her beautiful voice, hear Christmas music from, or Karen Newman, and you put the music, and that gets me in the mood for, you know, no matter what's happening, you know, if we've burnt the cookies, somebody's late, we forgot something
Yeah,
at Kroger,
right.
it doesn't matter.
Somebody showed up on
Just
time.
play the music.
Right.
Cue the music. That's
the
all.
music.
So
Cue the
Gotta
the
have
time for
music.
Karen. I mean, time for Karen. That's what I say.
That is cool. When you say that about the music, I immediately, and I'm
Do you
still
have your
playing
own
the same
music?
music. It is, seriously, no, it is Frank Sinatra
Oh.
and the classic, you know, it's Tony Bennett, it's
Burl
still
Ives.
Nat King Cole. No,
Yes,
sorry, I'm not
yes.
a Burl Ives fan.
Yeah.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Gets me going, Annette.
it's all the
The
classic
classics.
songs, and there are probably some new ones in there, but
Oh, plenty, but
I
nothing like the old ones.
am
The classics
old
stand the test
time.
of time.
And folks, this
Always
is not a
hear
Time
that.
Life commercial for buying music. It's
Stop
just
it,
you
no.
should have your own music by now.
But
Put
you
the
brought
music
up
on.
something though, because Dave and I were talking about this yesterday on the phone, and this is really serious. Knock off this stuff about planning the perfect Christmas, the perfect holiday, the perfect wedding. It does not exist. Just make it a meaningful and sweet thing. But the more people think things have to be perfect, perfect for whom?
Right.
Is it for show? Or is it for real? And I always say, knock off the for show junk. Because really, no, you know what? Nobody cares. Just make it for real. Make it sweet. Make it lovely and memory worth. You know, the time. But it also takes the stress off. And it's like that. When you think of holidays, it doesn't just become holidays, D-A-Y-S. It becomes D-A-Z-E. And women go nuts. And I hate to say, but it's like, you know, bridezillas. You get the momzillas. And then everybody comes in the door and they dive for the basement or the backyard and even in 10 foot of snow. They want to get away because the mom has gone nuts. Knock it off. Knock it off. There's nothing that's perfect. Just enjoy the moment. Again, it really goes back to what I say. Joy, nonce, N-O-N-C-E, now in the moment. Create the moment of joy because after it's done, people
Yeah.
go on. They don't want to go home with it stressed out. I mean, you've seen a million holiday movies where you just go, oh, holy cow, you know, and it all comes down to at the end of the movie, it's been total chaos, nothing went right. but when they just calmed down and relaxed, it was so cool.
But the
I
love of family
that.
and people, that's what really
That
it's all
just-
about.
that's exactly.
For me, I don't know if you guys like to watch the Chevy Chase National Lampoon's Christmas vacation
You
movies.
I
But to me, that movie kind of takes everybody's
But
memory.
that's the truth.
That's the truth, you know, and the tree
seen that,
burns,
yeah.
you've seen
Once.
that. And the
Right.
relatives are all crazy, and they all
Yes,
come over.
everybody's
But you know
nuts.
what? When you boil that comedy down,
Yeah.
it's really about the family. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, and his father, Clark Griswold's father, says, you know, it's, you know, you're making traditions. So yeah, we're talking
Make
about
good
we'll
one-
talk
make
about our
good ones.
traditions, you know, like
Yeah.
and my mom baked too, and it was all about setting up the tree together, and you know we had to do
Right.
that together. It was about the music, but you got your job is
Yeah.
you know now you make traditions for your children and hope that they can make their own
Mm-hmm.
because that tradition is what you have that what you carry with you. You know that one little thing you stick
I
that
can't
sticks
go
in your
like-
mind.
I can't go
I
12
still
months.
like to watch a Charlie Brown's Christmas.
Oh,
Oh,
every
me
year.
too.
And you know, kind of speaking of music and relaxing, that Vince Guaraldi jazz trio
Oh, yeah,
is
yeah.
such
Oh,
beautiful
yeah.
music on that backdrop.
That
and
one where they're spinning on the ice. I
yeah,
hear that in my
Christmas
mind.
time
I
is
love it.
here, and
That's it.
I think that it's a calming type of TV show and,
Yeah.
and music.
That is sweet.
And I still like to watch that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, even though you
I
don't
know.
like Sam the Snowman. We're alive.
Right. And I saw
Sort of creepy.
Miracle on 34th,
yeah.
A Wonderful
I love
Life.
that.
I love A
Oh,
Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Me too.
yeah.
I mean, realistically
too.
too, but
Can you
I
get
mean,
one?
yeah.
Pedals and you realize.
You know what I
it's,
mean?
you
It's
know,
like gets me
right.
going. I just
know,
I
it's
do
so
like
sweet.
those. You know,
I-
some of the new ones too, but I mean, really, you
Yeah,
gotta
there-
have that.
There's a reason why those are classics.
You know,
You know?
my favorite one year, this is, oh my God, this is going back into the 90s when Jeannie and I had just started Positively Positive. And the movie we were talking about, and I had to literally play it a few times to get the end of it. It's the bishop's wife, and it's the one,
Oh, I love that,
Loretta
Young.
Young is the bishop's wife.
Yes.
David Niven is the bishop. Dudley Moore is
Yes.
played by Cary Grant. He is the angel who comes in to write he comes in to write a very much for show
Yes.
thought process that this bishop has going on in his head for show, and he creates the for real. But at the very end of it, he's talking. He's written this, you know, esoteric sermon, and he leaves, and Dudley comes in and pitches the sermon
Right.
and says to
Right.
the typewriter, "Take a note." And the typewriter's and he talks about if we had a stocking to fill for the the Christ child, what would we put in? And it's like
Yeah. Jeez.
the last line is something about loving kindness, whatever, and a stretched out hand of tolerance. And I think when you still think about it, we are not doing that enough. We
Those are
wouldn't be
great
in
gifts to
these-
have.
Yeah, that is.
I-
It's
I
everything.
think
I
that-
love
It's
that.
nice.
The Christmas season is a time of hope and redemption, and a sense that we have an opportunity to renew ourselves and our lives, and that the most important things in our lives are the people in our lives, and family and friends, and the love that we have for all of them.
Yeah, that is
I
true.
mean, there is part of me that always goes, you get so overwhelmed with it until it's like, God, I just wish I could go to the Caribbean and not be bothered with this. Just let me you know, and then
come
you go
back.
like, nobody will be here. I remember Nat and I traveling, actually and it was Christmas Eve. It was like, there's nobody in the airport. Everybody's already gone home.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like you can sit anywhere on the plane. You know, it's like, and you're walking through the airport. It's like, where's everyone?
Yeah.
You start singing.
I mean, yeah, you know, it's like, and so I've got back to that. You know, it's a wonderful life. Go back, you know, and just those traditions and things. Yeah.
It is really
Yeah.
sweet.
I actually love the remake of that. Did
Oh,
you see that of
yeah,
Bishop's
Denzel
Wife with
Washington.
Denzel
Mhm.
and the late
Yeah.
Whitney? That was
Yeah.
that's a good
And
one.
it's
Isn't
that
it beautiful?
music. Yeah,
I
it's a
love that
beautiful
too.
piece.
That is nice. I mean, cooking and music.
Yeah, cooking.
a
Yeah,
little-
yeah. You're right.
And
You're
a
right.
little
And baking in the kitchen.
spirit.
Well, those little senses, when you trip your senses, if it's smell or listening to music or vision, you see the lights, you know, the Christmas lights, putting up the Christmas, I used to have my boys help me,
Oh,
and, you know, and of course you gotta put them on the gutters and, you know, and,
Oh, everywhere.
and then in Michigan, they're okay to put up, you know, a couple weeks before Christmas, but you take them down in February, it's pretty cold. It's not a fun
It
job.
is.
How about
It just
March?
makes
And
you
if you
sweat.
leave, well,
Or just leave them up all year
like
round.
my neighbor, yeah, they're in
yeah,
July,
right.
hey, you're gonna take those
I
down?
actually have seen.
Right. No, there's
You know?
one light in there, red, white, and blue.
Well, I know
Not
that
ready
Honey
for
Boo Boo has hers still on.
Is it right, Honey Boo Boo?
No, but I'm just saying.
Honey Boo Boo, whatever it is. person.
I'm just
Leave us
thinking
alone.
that all the senses, when we fill ourselves with all these thoughts, it's because we're being, all the triggers we're having. And so we hear the music on the radio, even though it's too early. We see it in the stores, even though that's too early.
Right.
And for me, that's why I say I want to dial back because, you know, your kids the gifts started getting more expensive as they got older. And then, you know, hey,
Right,
Dad, you know,
right,
can
it's
you,
nuts.
you know, so it goes from an iPad to a
Yes.
Mustang or something.
Yes.
It's not going to happen.
Mustang.
So, and then we keep telling them it's the thought that
It's
counts,
the
right?
thought.
But it's hard to, in this day and age, we're so materialistic, it's hard to dial
For
in
sure.
that.
For
Yeah,
sure.
so maybe the family should come together rather than, what am I going to get as a gift? Maybe it's,
Yeah.
you're going to be together with us, we're going to have some fun, and we're
Right.
going
You'd have
to
to
enjoy our
send 'em a
company and
memo so
talk
they
to
get it.
Grandpa while you can, you know.
While
and
you can.
That's right, those kinds of things.
Right.
That's, to me,
And I
important.
think a lot of people that I talk to also are maybe even cutting back on gifts and maybe
Right.
just spending more time with family or friends. Or, you know, I think many people lived a blessed life. You know, instead of giving something to somebody else and kind of wrapping it up, maybe do that for somebody outside of your
You're
family
right.
or friends,
You're
right.
and
Right.
doing something for other people.
Yes,
Because I
less
think
fortunate.
it takes the focus off of ourselves and really puts it on, you know, giving toward others. And I think the joy in that is
Right.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And again, it is, what is the reason for the season?
Right.
You know, in the first place, you know, what is the whole thing? And it was something that was a great gift to all of us, but it's not a gift of, you know, monetary or
Right,
anything.
right.
If you're just tuning in and wondering what the heck's going on here. Number one, happy holidays from all of us on In a Heartbeat. And we've got the whole crew here, and we brought John Clor in because we wanted to, he's been a part of our show, and he's been a part of any show I've ever had since the 90s. So I had to get Car Guy back on the show with us. And so what we're going to really do now, I want to hear about this new show.
Cars in context, I
Do
know.
we have this?
Oh, yeah,
You have
I
a
don't
time
know.
limit here,
Yeah,
pal.
if
I want to hear about it.
Jeremy, if you're going to play the intro.
Yeah.
That kind of sums it up. Here it is.
When it finally hit, it took the country by storm.
Of course, that burnout in the parking lot was not me. It was in the War Memorial lot. So, because,
Right.
you know, farms
really?
police frown on that kind of activity. But no,
I find it hard to believe that it was not
Love the
you,
sound.
John.
well, one of those was me, but I'm not going to tell you which one. I just thought the Motor City, this is Detroit, and this is, you know,
Yes.
we're known for the car industry, and it would be a great thing for, especially in Grosse Pointe. I mean, the Grosse Pointe is so rich in automotive history. Just go up and down the shoreline and watch the names of some of the places that, you know, the Dodge place and the Fords, and I mean, it all came from here. And so to try to celebrate that, we have a wonderful community of people that have built this entire city. And really, when you think about it, it's built what we know as the middle class because of the $5 a day wage that came in and how we built the middle class in America and really put us on wheels. And putting America on wheels was a phenomenal thing, and we expanded all over the country. It's our life. So I celebrate it with Cars in Context.
You know, and I love that because when I think about this area of the country, and you've seen it in print, you've seen it a lot, maybe you haven't, but, you know, listen up. Because this part of the country, Detroit City, whether it was Motor City or Motown or, you know, now Hockey Town, the Tigers, Go Tigers, and all that stuff, is that this corner, tiny little corner surrounded by all this water, is known for its creative powers. There's an intrinsic creative power, really, to come up with all of these different things and make this part of the country so strong. And then when things were rough,
Yeah.
they had to do a lot of reconfiguring, but that creative sense
Well, the
is
other thing-
alive and well.
The other thing I wanted to bring out really is that, you know, beyond that, back when this country was challenged, its most challenging times was in World War II. And we came to the brink of, you know, being taken over by another nation. And Detroit, the arsenal of democracy, if you talk to historians, it wasn't anything else. It wasn't the wars and the battles. It was Detroit's might of building war material. We had more planes. We had more tanks. We turned over this area. My mother-in-law worked she was a Rosie the Riveter. She was out in Willow Run. And my dad served in the Philippines. My father-in-law was a Pearl Harbor survivor. That greatest generation, Detroit. And when people say, well, they turned their back on Detroit because they had a bad car in the 70s. But really,
Yeah, real.
Detroit saved the United States of America. And it's nice to see people that recognize that. And I have a bunch of guests that they're historians, they're fun, some guys, they're bloggers, they're writers. They talk about current things about cars and, helping people save money about cars. So that's what I'm doing. And remember I used to hijack Heartbeat when I'd say the health and wellness of the show is all about health and well-being. Well, what about the health and well-being of my car?
Right.
That's how.
Yeah.
So no more segues like that. You
Right.
just watch cars in context, I hope. So.
All right, so what are the times?
Well, I've got, it runs every other week right now.
Mm-hmm.
And for you night owls, it's on at 3:30 in the morning, but 3 in the afternoon and at 9 at night. So I'm in prime time, 9 o'clock at night.
That is
There's no
good
excuse
time.
to skip it. That's all. That's
And
right.
learn something. And if you
Definitely.
ever, as always, the phone number here is 313-881-7511. If you ever have a question for anybody, anything, call and direct it to any one of us, and we'll get back to you. And it could be a show for us at In Heartbeat. It could be a show for you at Cars and Context. Answer some questions. Again, as you say, knowledge is power.
It really is. And people
And
need to
you said the same
utilize,
thing,
we would
same
love to
thing.
answer
Love
their
that.
questions on the
I
air.
love
I
that.
mean,
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so.
the more you know, the better off you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So don't ever stop learning. Or
Oh,
playing,
never.
or playing music. Not that
All right,
Karen
now-
Newman's giving me any music.
Yeah.
Can you crack on this
No,
one?
she's
What?
not. No, I'm positive.
Okay, all right, so now, we have sort of covered the knock off the for perfect junk, the for show and the for real. But when things do get nuts, what do you do? David, what do you do to calm down? And
Well,
just,
it's part of what I do most days, and for me, what really helps is to exercise. And I regularly go to the gym, and sometimes at the end of the day, I'm kind of just all wound up in a net from everything that's going on, and I may not really want to love the thought of going to the gym, but I do, and I always feel it brings me peace, and I have time to myself, and I get the tensions out of the day. And sometimes on a weekend, I think on the opposite end of the spectrum, I like to take a nap.
yeah, isn't that the truth? It's
And
a
I-
nice
and
thing.
Yes.
There's
It's
so-
luxurious
It's one of the
time.
most
Yes,
luxurious
isn't
things
it?
I give myself.
you're
right.
And I think that everybody is always focused on doing so many things for others, but I think you also have to do something for yourself.
Absolutely.
Because so many studies show that we need sleep and we need rest, and sometimes when we have enough of that, it may not always be that way. We can do so many other things. And you live in the day, live in the moment. Don't be so concerned about
Right.
being perfectionist
Yeah,
or
yeah.
making
Future.
sure that all your future's planned out. Otherwise, we'll lose today. And I think keep our concerns concentrated on what's important in life, and not the other things.
Joan, what do you do?
Well, I mean, David pretty much said it. I mean, I love that nap part because it took me a while to just say time out.
Time
And
out.
I'm one of these people that I can go all week, and if I don't have a day or an hour or a certain amount of time for me over the weekends are so short. So you have to really pull back and just say, time out. I'm just going to take this time, and I'm just going to just take the time for me. And I'm really trying to not, and this is a challenge for me, but I'm really trying to live in the present. I'm really trying to not be so projecting the future and, what am I going to do? Although there's one or two things that I, for 2013 that are going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
The professional end, but I mean, I'm really trying to focus in the present. What do I want to do now? And what can I do for someone? That what
Good
can
one
I
right
do
there.
for
What can I do
What
for
can I
someone?
do for someone? I mean, I really like the volunteering thing, and I'm just a real big family buff.
That's perfect that you actually, it's like I just scripted you to say that, but what can I do for someone?
What can I do,
Because
really?
when I think about it, what I need to do to relax, and actually we did a show a couple years ago because I thought it was important. I went to Wool and the Floss on Fisher Road across from the Grosse Pointe South, talked to Jean Candler, and we talked about the process of knitting, which in itself being rhythmic is a relaxing. It's almost like a, except you get your hands doing this instead, I actually did it on a show one time, it was ridiculous, but I did. I don't care. But we talked about a lot of things about beating that nutso days stuff by finding something that does calm you down, but the best part is through which you can give something to others. So there is a really cool thing. Ann Furmeister, who was a minister a couple decades ago at Memorial Church, and I are still extremely close. She lives in Connecticut, has her own church there. And though she's in Connecticut, I'm in Manhattan. I am working on a thing with her, and it is national. It may even be international. Look it up. It's shawlministry.com. Shawl, S-H-A-W-L, ministry.com. And through that link, you can learn about making a shawl. It can be anything. It could be any fiber, any technique, and whatever. I suppose you can make a duct tape shawl if you're really creative, you know.
Wow.
But I had, you know, I'm a knit freak. So I have a ton of yarn, and I have knitted a shawl that is going to her, and I'm working on, you know, another shawl while I have the time. And it is rhythmic, it is pleasurable, it is quiet time in which you really think about what are your joys and what are we fortunate
And
for.
I would also say, although we don't want them to do that now, I would say turn off the TV.
Turn
Yes.
Turn off the music. I think we're
off,
bombarded
yes.
with so many things. It
Yes.
gets us all worked up,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
think quiet time, and if you're a
Introspective.
spiritual person,
Yes.
prayer, meditation, and not just be so distracted by the noise of what's going on in the world.
Right.
Let's do the glisten.
Tune it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we have 1 minute. We're going to wrap this.
Well, for me, I take a drive down Lakeshore and see the
Oh,
lights.
love it.
I'm said, you know, I'm done,
Love it.
whether packaging, I just get in the car and I just do a nice slow drive and I look at the light. It just puts you in a good mood, you know. And all those Christmas memories come back, you know, mom and dad, and you know, for us it was always going to midnight mass, and it was always and I wanted to make those things for my kids, and hopefully they'll pass it down and they'll have those memories, and that mentally it's centered,
Right.
it's good for us. I think
Yeah.
it's
It
very
is good.
helpful.
Yeah.
Quickly, we got like 30 seconds. 2013, what are you thinking?
What am I thinking? I'm just thinking about living in the presence and, you know, enjoying every moment of being alive and,
Yeah.
you know,
And being
sharing.
productive.
And being productive.
Being productive.
And being healthy.
And being healthy, yeah,
Yes.
David.
Well, I'm thinking first of all putting on my Santa hat.
Wow.
That'll get me into 2013. And
Look at it, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think when a new year comes about, it's a time. I don't really make New Year's resolutions, but it's a time for renewal and rebirth for all of us to reassess our lives, and there's always hope and opportunity for positive changes in our life.
Excellent. All right, very good, Joan. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Liz.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, great season.
Great to see
David,
you.
Balle, JC, I should say John Clor. And so for all of us, I'm Liz Aiken. We really all wish you a tremendous holiday season. It's not just have one, it's make one. Cool down, slow down, remember what you're thankful for. Turn around and say to somebody around you for whom you care, hey, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
And I
Happy
love you.
holidays.
Happy New Year.
Love you.
You're here. Cheers.